You know how some anime debates just keep circling back no matter how many times you think they're settled? Goku versus Saitama is the ultimate example of that. A question that refuses to die because answering it isn't about tallying feats, it's about choosing which story you believe in, which philosophy of strength feels more true. At its heart, this isn't a versus battle, it's a clash of narratives. You have Goku, the eternal student of combat whose entire existence is a testament to earned growth through struggle, a symbol of hard work and perseverance that has defined shonen anime for decades. And then you have Saitama, a walking paradox designed to subvert that very narrative, whose overwhelming power from a comically simple regimen exposes the absurdity of endless power escalation. To compare them is to grapple with two completely different answers to the same question: what does it mean to be the strongest? One answers with an endless, exhilarating climb. The other answers with a lonely, boring summit. Watching Goku fight is to witness a language of effort. Every transformation, from the first Super Saiyan to the instinct-defying clarity of Ultra Instinct, is a new dialect of power he has to painfully learn. His power is never a static statistic, it's a verb, always tied to his mindset. Think about the psychology behind Ultra Instinct. It's not a muscle he flexes, but a state of mind he achieves. A reactive emptiness where thought and action merge. This is key. Goku's greatest battles are won as much in his head as with his fists. His confidence is the robust, tested kind, built from a lifetime of being broken and rebuilding himself stronger. He fears not the opponent, but his own potential to fail those he protects. His ego is a complex thing. It craves a good fight, sometimes recklessly, but it's an ego that knows defeat intimately and uses it as fuel. Every loss, from Piccolo to Frieza to Jiren, etches a lesson into his fighting spirit. He adapts because he has to. His growth is a direct, desperate response to an ever more terrifying world. When he powers up, you feel the narrative weight, the years of training, the spiritual guidance, the friendships and rivalries that forged him. His power has a biography. Now, watch Saitama. His fighting language is a period. It's a full stop. The psychological landscape here is inverted. Where Goku's power is fueled by passion, Saitama's is shrouded in apathy. The most terrifying psychological pressure for him isn't the threat of losing, but the numbing certainty of winning. Imagine the mentality required when your emotional spectrum in combat ranges from mild annoyance to faint disappointment. He doesn't experience fear in battle because the concept of a threat has evaporated. His confidence is not earned through trial, it's a default setting, an unshakable, mundane fact of his existence like gravity. This creates a fascinating weakness, but not a physical one. His weakness is existential, a deep, pervasive ennui that no enemy can punch away. He didn't evolve to overcome a great foe, he transcended challenge altogether through a training regimen so simple it became a joke, and in doing so, he lost the very struggle that gives a fighter's journey meaning. His restraint is total, not because he holds back tactically, but because he has never needed to not hold back. The growth isn't in his power, which seems to have no ceiling, but in his halting, awkward search for a reason to use it, for a feeling he can't seem to punch back into his life. So when you pit them against each other, context is everything, and the context demolishes simple power scaling. In a spontaneous, first meeting brawl, the narrative logic of Saitama's universe suggests an anticlimax. Goku, ever the enthusiast, would power up through his forms, his energy shaking the universe, his fighting spirit blazing, a spectacle Saitama hasn't genuinely faced. Saitama would likely stand there, taking it, that blank look on his face, before throwing a punch that ends the fight. That's his story's rule. No spectacle, just conclusion. This is where fans of Goku's narrative feel robbed, because it feels like cheating the ethos of effort. But flip the context. Give Goku knowledge. Let him understand, even abstractly, that he faces a concept like invincibility. Now you're in Goku's territory, the territory of adaptation. He wouldn't just charge in, he'd observe, he'd test, he'd retreat if needed to train. He's faced invincible enemies before, from Frieza to Beerus, and his entire life is a process of redefining what's possible. The question becomes, does Saitama's universe allow for a training arc against him? Can Goku, whose power grows exponentially in the heat of battle, find a crack in the absolute? Saitama has never been pushed, so we have no model for his adaptability under true pressure. Goku's entire life is a model of adaptability. One character is a definitive endpoint, the other is an infinite curve. Which narrative do you trust more? This bleeds directly into intelligence and battle IQ. Goku's intelligence is almost purely combat kinesthetic. He's a savant in reading energy, predicting movements, and mastering techniques under fire. He learns your fighting style by getting hit by it. His strategy is emergent, intelligent, born from the flow of battle. Saitama's battle intelligence is untested. He has shown flashes of analytical ability, like understanding an enemy's tragic backstory mid-fight, but he's never had to formulate a complex strategy. His strategy is walking forward and punching. Could he outthink Goku in a tactical sense? Probably not. But does he need to when his raw parameters might render tactics irrelevant? This is the core of the debate. Goku's arsenal is vast: instant transmission, spirit bomb, various Kamehameha iterations, Ultra Instinct's auto dodge. Saitama's arsenal is, famously, a series of punches with different names. Yet, that simplicity is its own philosophical statement. In a genre cluttered with elaborate special moves, Saitama reduces conflict to its most fundamental element: force applied directly. It's a critique wrapped in a gag. Goku represents the beautiful complexity of martial arts. Saitama represents the nihilistic simplicity of overwhelming supremacy. Their personalities aren't just flavor, they're the engines of their power. Goku's emotional depth, his love for his friends, his childlike joy in battle, his rage when those he loves are hurt, these aren't separate from his strength. They're its source. The Super Saiyan transformation was born from grief and fury. His sense of responsibility, while sometimes flawed, tethers him to the world he protects. Saitama's emotional flatness is the cost of his power. His trauma isn't a past loss, it's the present loss of feeling itself. He's profoundly isolated because no one can share his reality. He's a hero not out of grand destiny or deep compassion, but initially out of a whim, a hobby to fight boredom, which evolves into a vague sense of duty. His motivation is the search for motivation. This creates a stunning contradiction. The strongest man in the world is also, in many ways, the most human in his mundane frustrations. Discount sales, bad TV, missing acknowledgement. We relate to his boredom more than we relate to Goku's universe, shaking struggles. Goku inspires us to be better. Saitama makes us wonder if being the best is even satisfying. From a narrative and symbolic perspective, they are perfect opposites. Goku is the classical hero's journey incarnate. He is the promise that with enough will and work, you can overcome anything. He symbolizes endless potential, the infinite reach of the fighting spirit. The story frames him as a mortal who challenges and surpasses gods, a testament to earned divinity. Saitama is the deconstruction. He is the endpoint of the power fantasy. He symbolizes a limit, what happens when you win. His story is a postmodern comedy about the emptiness of absolute victory. The narrative has to limit him, not in power, but in narrative stakes. It surrounds him with a world of intricate heroes and grotesque monsters to highlight his disconnection. The drama isn't, can he beat the monster? It's, will this fight make him feel something? Or how will the collateral damage affect his reputation? The story rewards Goku with new levels of strength and new challenges. The story rewards Saitama with a stronger sense of emptiness. Fans who value struggle, evolution, and the emotional roller coaster of a hard-fought victory will naturally gravitate to Goku's side of the debate. Those who appreciate satire, existential humor, and a critique of the very genre Goku defines will find Saitama's argument more compelling. And let's be honest, the feats themselves exist in different tonal universes, which makes direct comparison almost a category error. Dragon Ball's power scaling is famously inflationary and often inconsistent between stated destructive capacity and what's shown on screen. Characters who can supposedly destroy planets early on fight later without automatically shattering the ground beneath them. One Punch Man, in its glorious absurdity, often leans into visual hyperbole to make its point, like showing Saitama's punch parting the atmosphere across the entire planet. These aren't data points for a spreadsheet. They are artistic choices serving their respective stories. Using them as direct, literal metrics misses the point. Goku's feats are meant to awe you with scale. Saitama's feats are meant to awe you with effortless finality, often for comedic effect. To try and power level, this is to speak a language only one of them is fluent in,